A tree. Ay, ay, ay. You're not old enough. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, thank you. It's good to be with you all. What? Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be back. And Kenter is taking the week off, so she had a good few weeks without me, and God willing, COVID's behind. Well, I think now, I mean, you could hear I'm still a little nasally, so a little bit of leftover, but it's now I'm in that sweet zone, right? Now, once you get COVID, apparently you have like 3 months of like fantastic immunity. So woohoo! So Sean and I are going to go around without our masks and run around all the stores and laugh at people. So we're not going to really do that. I still wear masks in stores. Well, it's so good to be with all of you, and this was going to be an Ask the Rabbi. So if you have a question about Pesach or Israel, think about one, and that may be the only question I have. So that's what all we're going to do. Behold how good and how pleasant it is that we are together as a community, and it's so nice to have Byron and Lily leading our music tonight. Hine Matov.
Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
We continue with Lecha Dodi on pages 138. Be aware if you have two pagination systems, please use the blue bracketed page numbers. Thank you.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat ne'ekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat ne'ekabela. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה לך דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי ממקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. Say that 3 times fast. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת פלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Yeah. Cool. We continue with our. Want to do Chatzikah? We don't have to. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, page 144. We continue with Chatzikah.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ואלמד דברך חירותי ואמליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דעם הירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
We continue on page 120. We'll make a 121. Let's do this reading first.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we be, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvah, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Well done, Jeff Rudy. And I invite all of you to wish the person next to you a Shabbat Shalom. Wave at someone you may not know, wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Page 145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruits so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Page 146, I invite you, if you're able to please rise. Stay in front of the mic. Page 148, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach she'arim, ובתבונה משנה עיתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיר, כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום מביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. Page 151. We join together in the English. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Invite us to take a deep breath in. Exhale out.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vaed. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. You shall love, love with all of your heart, your soul, and with all of your might. You shall teach your children to hope, to love, and to know what is right. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. We continue responsively on page 157 on the bottom. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there's one God in heaven and earth. You could do better next, I think. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
All right, we're going to do Micha Mocha by Mara Finkelstein. I need your help in two ways. First, sing along if you know it. And secondly, there's a place where I need a double clap after Zeh Li. Yep.
I'm ready.
Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, o seifele. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, o seifele. Here it comes. Malchutcha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe. Zeli, zeli, anu ve'ameru. Malchutcha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe. Zeli, zeli, anu ve'ameru. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, o seifele. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh HaKodesh Nora, Nora, Nora Behilo. Oh, Seifele, oh, Seifele, oh, Seifele.
There we go. Page 160, 161. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporesh sukat shalom aleinu, v'kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. We continue on page 164 with our tefillah. I invite you, if you're able to please rise either physically or in spirit. 164. Stand if we can, yeah. Do that?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Why don't you move over here?
Okay. Okie dokie.
Boy, I want to say something now. Right? I'm just going to hold it. You could start on I say tie, T-top.
Adonai. Adonai Spatai Tiftach. Adonai Ufi Agid. Ufi Agid Tahilatecha. Adonai Adonai. Adonai Spatai Tiftach. Adonai Ufi Agid. Ufi Agid Tahilatecha.
Baruch atah
Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah Elohei Rachel El HaGadol HaGibor ve'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Ve'Koneh HaKol Ve'Zocher Chazdei Avot Ve'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezra Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav LeHoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Baal Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Memit Umechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emanata lehachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye hakol.
Page 170. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated.
Maybe.
Page 173. We join together on the top of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Page 175. Ratzeh Adonai Eloheinu b'amcha Yisrael. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha bi'irah na'avod. We continue on page 178 with Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adom lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adom lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. V'tov b'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol et uvechol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. Tasihim Leolam. Tasihim Leolam.
Invite us to take a deep breath in. Exhale out. As we have this opportunity to reflect on that makor shalom, that source of peace that lies within each one of us, as we pause now in silent reflection. the words of our mouths and meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. We now take this opportunity to focus our energies toward those who are ill and in need of healing. On this Shabbat, we think of Janet Agrovich, Sally Mendez, Chana Bat Miriam, Bobby Barco, Bob Bell, Robert Berg, Arnold Berliner, Sandy Beinstock, Pauline Bronstein, Carol Brindell, Rich Burns, Ina Bruns, Melissa Champer, Chu Chi, Talia Sorowski, Deanna Courtwright, Laura Danoff Robinson, David Dierig, Midori Dierig, Henry Hansen, Jenna Fishoff Hyman, Carolyn Franklin, Holly Fugit, Marilyn Fuller, Roberta Gabriel, Josie Garcia, Marcia Gieser, Charlene Griffin, Jack Huff, Olivia Hand, Linda Harris, Dr. Gary Height, Jennifer Johnson, Mimi Jones, Sylvia Karp, Evelyn Katz-McCosker, Mark Kusanovich, Patricia Kusanovich, Shirley Lerner, Carol Lesage, Bobby Lotman, Emmett Lowry, Austin Lucero, Janice Lucero, Gerald Maddox, Missy Marsh, Stephen Marceri, Rich McCarthy, Maria Bita McClure, Neil McElwee, Rich Medor, Beverly Medor, Patricia Munoz, Gunther Myberg, Lawrence Neal, Barbara Wanamaker-Neiman, Glenn Overstreet, Gilbert Palazzo, Brad Parkins, Gabrielle Pollack, Alice Ponce, Heidi Preston, Sherry Prezant, Stephanie Rasmussen, Linda Rogers, Julius Rodriguez, Eva Rose, Devon Ross, Patricia A. Rosie, Anthony Sains, Daryl Sanchez, Laura Sanders, Glenn Sanders, Victoria Schneider, Nina Shapiro, Shirley Silverman, Jonathan Stern, Dinah Thyman, Gina Thrower, Kara Thayer, Steve Umecki, Sarah Vogler, Jeannie Watson, Nancy Weisenfeld, Eleanor Williams, Sue Witten, Brenda Weinstock, David Weiner, Sherman Wong, Yaakov Ben Ada, Brandon Yarkin, Sherman Zell. If you wish to add another name to our healing list, I invite you to raise your hand. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wish upon all those you mentioned and those remain unnamed, Refuah Shlema, a speedy and complete recovery, as we join together Misha Berach by Debbie Friedman.
Mishe Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Makor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you. All right, any questions about Pesach? Oh my gosh, right away, Lon has been thinking. You always have lots of questions.
Okay, my first question is matzah. If you look at the ingredients of matzah, it's flour, but we're not allowed to use flour. So what gives?
I like that question. That's actually a good question, right? So we have the 5 grains according to the book of Exodus that we're kind of having to, in a weird way, eat in a special way. Not avoid, but eat in a special way, which means what? Can have it rise. So here's the thing. Any of those 5 grains you can use on Pesach, but what makes it kosher for Pesach is the following. Flour and water are mixed together and put into the oven and taken out. Has to be done within 18 minutes, or it's not kosher. That's it. Done. 18 minutes. You have 18 minutes to cook it. Yeah. I think there probably is that. Yeah, there generally is. 18, when in doubt, like what number should we use? 18, that's a good one, right? For chai. So I think that is true, actually, quite a bit. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It literally gives us sustenance. It gives us life. So it does work. That's right. So that's what makes it. So you could use, in theory, one of the other grains, and you can make it the same way, be it oat, barley, whatever. In theory, you could do it that way. Yeah. Now, I'll leave it at that for now. Go ahead.
Second question. So we're not allowed to use cornstarch. How come? It doesn't rise.
I do. I use it. That's the difference between Ashkenazic and Sephardic. So the Ashkenazic rabbis did something that I actually am offended with. They did the same thing with meat when they made chicken meat. Yeah, because it really wasn't meat. Chicken should be part of like fish. There's actually precedent for it. Yeah, it doesn't suckle its child. So it's a different ballgame. And if an egg is par of, it was par of. It actually was par of. So the way the Ashkenazis did is this. Because you may get confused, Mr. Rudy, you can't have this, because it's so much like that. So you have the 5 grains that are prohibited on Pesach. That's it. Corn is not one of them at all. But the Ashkenazic rabbi said, well, so that you don't get confused with the 5 grains, you can't have corn, you can't have rice, you can't have legumes, you can't have this, you can't have that. Baloney. I say keep Sephardic. Have your beans and rice, because that's absolutely, but you just couldn't have tortilla. You couldn't have tortilla unless you made it in 18 minutes. Then you could. That's the only reason why you can't have beans if you're Ashkenazic, and that is, in my opinion. That makes no sense. Now, in our tradition, anything of main sustenance for a people, you can't prohibit. So, for parts of the world, you know potatoes are always going to be kosher for Pesach for obvious reasons. So too are beans and rice, because that is the main staple in certain parts of the world. And in the Sephardic tradition, they keep more traditional to the 5 grains and not the rest of the mishigas. The corn syrup and the corn that's all mishigas. It's a waste of time. Now, we shouldn't eat corn syrup anyway, so I don't mind avoiding that on a good day anyway. But the reality is that that's a misconception. Yep. In Ashkenazic, you can't, but in Sephardic, yes. Now, in the conservative movement, they made a tshuva, a response, 5 years ago, that did allow legumes and certain things. So if one is traditional, look it up, the Rabbinic Assembly online, and they'll tell you what the current role is, if there's anyone who cares. Even the conservative movement has moved a little bit. Yeah, because it makes really no sense. It's not logical. And we're very logical people. We really are, actually, usually. Yeah, see that? I'm sure your wife appreciated it, but that's another issue. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, all that's mishigas. It's the same thing as the glot kosher thing. Glot kosher only pertains to the lung of an animal. How could a vegetarian restaurant be glot kosher? It can't be. You go to L.A., Pico Robertson, and there is this store, and it says the vegetables are glot kosher. What? The broccoli? What are you talking about? Hello? So they have it's actually all to make money. It's a game. And so the idea of glot kosher, it's either kosher or it's not. It can't be super kosher, sort of kosher, a little bit kosher. It doesn't work that way in our tradition. It's either kosher or it's not. So the idea of glot kosher is to make more money. It's horrible. And I'll tell you, that world, there's been a lot of corruption in the world. In LA, there was a case on Fairfax 15, 20 years ago where all the kosher meat was actually not kosher. Yeah. It was a shyster doing it for them. Yeah, I mean, there's that stuff happening all the time. So then when you have to look at what's really the essence, what's the essence for us? That for me is the most important, right? The essence is getting into whatever experience we need to get into. If it's Pesach, then I think it's really about the matzah, people. And I think you need to refrain from the bread that week. Go for it. We should have 1 week where we're focused on our freedom and the gift that we have that we all take for granted. And that there's tons of people in the world that aren't free. So lean into it. That's what Pesach should be. Warn about cornstarch and corn syrup. Oh my God, that's not the focus. And that's what happens with ultra-Orthodox. You get too bogged down in minutia, but not in the greater issue of being a mensch and being a decent, good person. That's what this stuff should be motivating us to do. My eating matzah is all about me looking at the stranger amongst us and look at them not as a stranger anymore, but having them around the table. Go ahead.
I'm sorry for hogging this. Okay. Right. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. Okay, so at the Seder, when the 4 questions, why is this night different from all other nights? And then the thing that follows it is in all other nights we eat either leavened or unleavened bread. Why this night only unleavened bread? So we have a Seder on the first 2 nights of Pesach, and we have a Seder on the last 2 nights of Pesach. So what about those days in between? We don't say that in between. So they're one of the all other nights. Well, they are.
That's not what that means, though. It's talking about Pesach. It's Pesach. So it says why on this night, and that goes for the whole week. It's saying this night because we're at the Seder, but what's implied is the whole week. So the prohibition is the whole week. It's in the Torah, and it's something that yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyone else? Last night. So that is based on Chag. So the way it works is there are 2 layers of holiday experience on Passover, Sukkot, and Shavuot. And what are those? There is something called Chag. Chag is the first and second day for conservative and Orthodox Jews that are outside of Jerusalem. They would experience 2 days of the holiday. And why do they do that? Because in the old days, the way you communicated Rosh Chodesh or a new month was through bonfire or shofar, and you would let the next community know, and it would take sometimes a full day and a half to get to the last community. That's why it's 2 days Yom Tov for conservative Jews. As Reform Jews, we go back to the fact, I got a watch, I have a device, I don't need to worry about that anymore. We could do the traditional 7 days as Torah has said for us, which is why we reverted back to the 7 days as a movement. So the first 2 days are Chag because of that reason. Rosh Hashanah is the same thing. 2 days, always because of that, right? In ancient times. The ending as well is viewed as Chag. It's a Yizkor day. So at the end of Passover, so on the 7th night, or like 6th night, 7th night, depends on how you do it, but like the 7th night, where the next day will be the 7th day, the whole day, traditionally on the 7th night for us, we would light a yahrzeit candle. Right? And we do that at the end of Sukkot, on Simchat Torah, and on Shavuot as well. So we would light that candle. That is a Yom Tov day. Now, what's the real difference between Yom Tov and Chol HaMoed? Those are the 2 terms. Yom Tov means it's a holy day, and I have to go by certain laws, which are the Shabbat laws. Can't drive, can't make fire, can't do any of that. So first 2 days of Passover are really hard for traditional Jews. My sister's one of those. They got to cook. And when there's Shabbat and that back-to-back, that's 3 days potentially. It's really horrible for them because they can't cook. So they got to do it all ahead of time and leave it on the stove. So what happens is that for the Yom Tov, you have those 2 days where you follow all the laws. Once you get to the 3rd day, you can go to work. You could do all the rest of your stuff you normally do. You're still eating matzah. You're still kosher for Pesach. Sorry, Lana, you still are. But you're not following the rest of Shabbat laws, Yom Tov laws, we call those, until you get to the last day of Yizkor, and then that's implemented again. Well, I think it's up to you. I mean, in our family, it's interesting. When we gather, we'll light a yahrzeit candle before we do the candle blessing. So even on Thanksgiving as a family, we light a yahrzeit candle. We're missing lots of people, and that number's growing. So we light the candle, the yahrzeit candle. We even do then Yom Tov candles for Thanksgiving. And one could do that for Pesach. I absolutely think it's appropriate to do that for Pesach. I really do. Because as long as you do it before you light the Yom Tov candles. Because we're missing a lot of people. Especially the first Pesach. Like, without one's wife or brother, I would think it really hurts. Passover is one of the hardest holidays to get through when you're a griever, an active griever. We're all lifetime grievers, but when you're an active griever, I think Pesach is one of the hardest holidays. So whatever it works. Now, we're Reform Jews, so we believe learn the tradition and then kind of work it for yourself. And I think the Yartzeit candle is very much so like that. So, for example, a modern way to deal with Yartzeit candle, I would suggest, is to light it on the birthday of the person that died. So we're focused on the life of the person and the gift they gave us as opposed to their death, which for some people it's very tragic and horrible. And they don't want to necessarily relive that. But to think of the best of the person. Yeah. Cool. That was good. Good job, Lana. All right. Any more about Pesach? You good? You ready for your Seders? Yeah. Well, you know where I am if you have another question. One more. Shariad. That's actually good advice. So for those of you that are looking for kosher Pesach food, which is always an issue for many of us, Molly Stone's in Palo Alto is one of the best places. It has a lot of good kosher products. But go next week, Cheryl's suggesting. It was kind of, the manager said that to her because it cleared out already. It's already cleared out. And the Lucky's in Los Altos. And I would add one more locally. We have a kosher store, Pars. Locally, please support him and them because I love supporting locally. And that's our only kosher market here. And I actually, as one who doesn't keep kosher, I think it's really important to support kosher markets and such for those members of our community who need that. And if we don't support them, then they're not going to be able to exist, and that's not good. Pars on Bascom, yeah. Sometimes it's hit and miss there. It's hit and miss there. I mean, I think it depends, you know. They have the gefilte fish that Molly Stones have, I hear. I've been told. Yeah, they have the frozen one, which is actually a good one. I don't want cat food.
Rabbi, what did Cheryl do while you were attending your meetings in Israel?
She was with me. Yeah. A long time ago, actually, with your dad, who said to me, I said to him, look, for the CSR convention, it feels to me that my wife should go with me. I mean, a lot of it's important. There's a lot of good information for her. And she comes back and does so much. She goes, she should go with you. So since then, I've always taken her. You taught me that. Kind of cool. He says that was also good for the relationship. You know your dad said things like this? Yeah, he did. He said it was good for the relationship, too. It's an important thing, yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope this Pesach is a fabulous Pesach and that you are all with people because we went through so much during COVID. Pesach was one of the hits that a lot of us took, not being with our family. So hopefully we will be with our family. And now it's my great honor to invite the president of our congregation, Steve Crandell. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom. As Rabbi said, I am Steve Crandell. At least that's what it says right here. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'd like to welcome you to our Erev Shabbat service led by Rabbi Magat and Byron Lilly. Byron, you were awesome. Byron, you were awesome. Rabbi, you're always awesome, but Byron, got to be careful. Following the service, please join us for Kiddush, Motzi, and Oneg in the Temple House. Tonight's Oneg is sponsored by Robin Feynman Marino, back there, in memory of her aunt, Rhoda Edwards, and her father, Morton Feynman. Got a lot of announcements. I'm going to go fast, so listen carefully. This Sunday at noon, Sisterhood will be hosting their Divas Dine Out lunch. On Tuesday at noon, join the rabbi for his weekly chat on Zoom. At 7:30 on Tuesday night, get your dancing shoes on for Israeli dance in the Temple House with Louis Tucker. On Wednesday at noon, Rabbi will be teaching his Lunch and Learn Torah study. Also on Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Zoom, we will have a guest speaker, Rosalind Sholin, presenting a fascinating zigzag program called The Museum of You is Open, What's on Display? Rosalind will share from her collection and guide us how to build a personal family museum to preserve your family's story. I think that's pretty cool. Next Friday is our Shabbat at Home service led by Rabbi Bagat and Cantor Shafritz on Zoom at 6:30 p.m. Looking ahead, save March 31st for our next Rock Shabbat at 7 p.m., preceded by our delicious appetizer reception at 6 p.m. Mark your calendars for April 1st for our next Shabbat in Nature at Skyline Ridge Open Space Preserve. We hope that you will join us for our community second night Seder led by Rabbi Magat and Cantor Shafritz on Thursday, April 7th. Lucy Freed of Deliciously Yours will be catering the dinner. Registration is live on our website, and be sure to reserve your seat at our Seder table before March 30th. It's a lot of fun if you've never come. It's even fun if you have come, but if you haven't come, you should check it out. Finally, we're excited to be part of a belonging project organized by the Union of Reform Judaism. Yesterday, all Temple members received an email about this project with a link to participate in the survey. Please, I don't know what that says. Please give us your opinions by completing this vital survey before March 30th to help us improve our Temple community. I'm on the committee that's doing this belonging project. It's really interesting. We're working with congregations all across the United States. It's a new pilot program that the union's putting on, and we really want to find out from all adults in a family, what do you think about Temple? What could we do better? What could we do different? It's a really well-done survey, and we're going to use that to help guide us for the types of programming and things that we're going to do for the next few years. So give us your opinions. It's really easy to do. There's no special passwords. There's no nothing. The link was in that message, and I think there might even be a flyer on the Shalom table. Stephanie's going, yes, there is. Yeah, there's a big QR code out there, and you just point your phone at it and take the survey. It'd be really helpful. Well, that's it. So Shabbat Shalom.
We continue with Elena on page 586. I invite you to please rise if you are able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
As we now come to the moment in our service, we think about members of our family and our community who have died recently or in years past. I invite you, upon hearing the name of your loved one, if you choose to stand as a sign of love and grief for that person, and to remain standing until the names on our yahrzeit list have been recited. Then together we will all rise. On this Shabbat, we are mindful of those that are grieving the Shiva, the first week of mourning for Dr. Lawrence Ross, as well as those that are grieving the Shloshim for Joan Singer. We as well think of those that are grieving the Shana, the first year mourning for Ed Kahn, Mike Kahn, Julian Cannell, Robert DeNike, Mervyn Durlster, Betty Fargo, Nessia Fistrom, Harold Fletcher, Curtis Given, Fritz Gottfeld, Jacqueline Hall, James Hayward, Gail Jacobs, Walter Jacobs, Steve Koss, Sylvia Lazarus, Bobby Lebo, Rita Lauren, Emmanuel Marquis, Rochelle Marquis, Joyce Mendel, Harvey Offenhartz, Janice Palmer, Thomas Parkins, Herman W. Poland, Ruth Rosenberg, Mitzi Sapper, Randy Shev, Judy Siegel, Norman Siegler, Dr. William Silen, Howard Sutkin. We also think of the following yahrzeits that we observe on this Shabbat, as we think of George Samuel Abelson, Shirley Applebaum, Dorothy Bennett, Olga S. Berman, Judith Biro, William Cave, Max Cohen, Roy Robert Creech, Charlotte Daniels, Rhoda Edwards, Bert Epstein, Jackie Fagon, Morton Feynman, Sam Fink, Bernice Foster, Mel Friedman, Samuel M. Gambord, Stuart H. Gans Sr., Faye Genzel, Eileen B. Gittin, Edith Green, Joel Hawk, Marilyn Hecht, Hilda Herlick, Robert Hirsch, Albert Hoffheimer, Julius Jackal, Laura Jacobson, Arthur Jones, William German, Paul Kaplan, Judith Ann Karcham, Rose Kay, Sophie Kayak, former president of our congregation, Ruth Crandell, Lillian Llewell, Harold Llewell, Ruth Lewis, Lee Mandel, Louise Mann, Virginia Migdal, Aaron Miller, Walter J. Morris, Benjamin Myers, Murray Nadler, David Nathan, Ilan Nguyen, Irene Osius, Gertrude Osiel, Louis Perlberg, Gavin Peters, Rena Price, Gladys Popolo, Malka Roll, Leo Roslin, Lillian Rosen, Sarah Rosenthal, Shirley Rosner, Gussie Rubin, Tom Saxey, Habib Sahim, Heidi Shore, Helene Schwabi, Leoned Siegel, Mark Siegel, Rebecca Sherman, Alan Shine, Elliot Sklar, Meyer Shopko, Joseph Schulman, Claire Smolian, Eugene Snyder, Rose Spector, Ann Stern, Nathan Winter, Howard Weisfield. Zichronam livracha, may all the memories of our loved ones endure as a blessing as we all rise, turning to page 598 to recite together our mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei rabba, ve'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malachutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael, bagalav uzman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mivorach le'olam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitchomam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudisha v'reichu. Le'ala minko birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran belma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo rabba mishamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'akol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'akol Yisrael v'shtevel, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to those who are bereaved among us, wherever they may be, as we say together, amen. Please be seated. All right. Well, well done, Byron. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
That was fabulous.
Thank you, Rabbi. It was my pleasure.
It's a good warm-up for us in a couple weeks,
Yes,
right?
it is. Yes, it is.
A little Rock Shabbat coming up.
Yep.
So we're going to end with a little bit of Osei Shalom. Reminder that we need to focus on that peace. Boy, do we need peace.
Oh, say shalom bimroma. Oh, yeah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yeshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Oh, say shalom bimroma. Huya say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yeshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Amen. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya Oh, say shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. We'll meet you in the Temple House.